So, hello and happy Saturday, July 31st. I wanted to welcome all of you to today's special presentation of our Trading Week Ahead broadcast coming at you live here, helping navigate the markets as we get ready for another week ahead. If you're not yet a member of the live room, be sure to join. It's a Trading Open, mytrademastery.com live room. All right, so how are you guys doing in your trades? Hopefully you're all making some money, or at least not losing much, and keeping one step ahead. The markets have been in a relatively range-bound, narrow, slight move down. Remember, two of the last 3 weeks have been down weeks. Week before last was sharp down, then we had a sharp up week before last, and then last week was a week down. So 2 of the last trading weeks have been net selling directional bias, despite the overall picture looking good. That's because we had a big rally week a couple weeks back, but last week was a weak selling bias market. Now we're in the midst of earnings season, and you can see traders have been unimpressed last week. The market went relatively sideways, and if we take a look at our VIX, you can see our CBOE Volatility Index. Where did we close at 18.25? So we're just around the 100 SMA. It's still in a noisy range. One thing that I found in all my winning trades last week, my best winning trades that I put on, at least in my own account last week, were the strongest, there's a difference between signal and noise, and there's a lot of noise in the market. And what we want to really focus on is signal and the strongest directional charts, whichever charts look a little something like that, right? So with our broad market in for a minor pullback, basically, I would make last week kind of a uncertain week or a doji. How many of you agree that the markets are kind of due for a pullback? We may be ready for some selling pressure next week. I'm going to use 4450 as obvious R1, resistance 1, and 4350 as S1. Keep it simple, kind of bracket, make a decision whether or not you're going to go long and buy new stocks up at new highs, or if you're going to sell and maybe go into the inverses, or if you're an options trader, buy index puts on the weeklies, or if you're like me, I like to trade the inverses like UVXY and TZA and others that I'm in. Market may be due for a pullback. So because of that, we want to play it safe next week and be relatively cautious about what we do. I'm not going to put on any new stock swing trades unless we take out all-time highs for a minimum of 3 days. So I'm not going to buy stocks for swing trades unless we, number one, at least take out last week's high over the 44.30 or so, but preferably over 44.50 for a minimum of 2 or 3 days, right? Because often, at all-time highs, you almost always get a fake out, right? This is an all-time high back here, and it immediately crashed and burned. All-time high up here, and it dropped. All-time here, and it dropped. All-time here, it may well drop again. So my caution is play it safe. I'm not going to do much swing trading next week because the market's at a key inflection point or at a key resistance level. And so we don't have an imbalance of buyers or sellers to work with. They're about even. So we don't want to throw bets into an even market. You want to throw bets when the buyers or the sellers take over. So we'll see which way it breaks. Let's take a look at these charts just briefly to run through them, and then these are swing trading charts. Go ahead and right now or anytime during the next 10 minutes or so, if there's a chart you would like me to pull up, let me know if it's a day trading chart. Otherwise, we'll assume it's a swing trading chart. You might want to type in 1 or 2 tickers if you'd like me to review the chart real quickly and let you know whether or not at least I'd personally trade it. So just briefly, this chart, NSA, good, but we've got 2 shooting stars in the upper right corner, so that's a bearish reversal pattern until proven otherwise, which means we'd have to get over the top of the most of yesterday's high. So we'd have to get over 56 before we look at that. Another shooting star, this time in LSI. You'd want to go long over the 120 or short under the 117.50 or so. PRFT, a nice gap. I don't know if anyone was trading this on Thursday. It was, Thursday, it gapped up to 90, ran up to almost 96. And another extension up here. Now we don't, for swing trade, I would not buy this one unless it gets over, say, 100. And a person I'd use like 102 on this kind of chart. And I'm not going to go through detailed analysis of each of these. I just want to give you a chance to eyeball the strongest charts out there in the world. And if you're not trading these kind of charts, you may want to give some thought to your stock selection process. Right, this one obviously pullback, so that's a no-go. That one's looking good. Moderna did really good, right? Moderna, Pfizer is also up a little bit. I think we'll fire that one. And as you look through these charts, the reason that I'm highlighting these charts for you is I want to give you a very clear sense of what kind of charts you want to trade if you want to potentially make a lot of money. Because where we lose money, myself included, is if you see like a story stock in the news, you know, like Robinhood IPO, how'd that work out? Don't trade it just because people are talking about it, especially the talking heads, because they have a different agenda. They're more focused on investors than they are us active traders. So they're not going to tell you, they'll say things like buy Apple, which is great. I'm a big fan of Apple, and but it's not as good for, say, a swing trader. Yeah, you have to make sure that, my point is, you want to make sure that pairs up, match your trading style to the types of charts you hear about out there, whether it's from me or other traders or folks on the talking head TV shows. Make sure that you are trading the right type of instrument for the right kind of markets. How about that Amazon with that 300 point drop? Boom. I would actually take the shot on this up at new highs next week. Anyone who's I'm not gonna swing trade because I don't trade $3,000 instruments, but that would be a pivot configuration because of the drop. It may drop down to 3,200 and then bounce. That would be a much better play. Would be if it goes down to 3,200 region, then recovers this moving average line over, say, 3,260. That would be a long ride here. So if it crashes and burns and then comes back to life Thursday or Friday, that might be a play on a pivot. Yeah, but overall, not my kind of chart. I prefer charts that go like this, right? Nice, clean, tight, 45-degree angle breakout, big point range, big profit potential, your risk reward numbers make sense, and it's all good. Hey, go ahead and right now, if you would, type in any tickers that you'd like me to pull up, and we will pull those up. This one has been hot for us lately for intraday trades. Let's change channels now to, we were in swing trading channel land, now we're gonna go to day trading. BD, a nice run from 780 up to 9, boom. That was a good day trading move yesterday. There's so many charts out there to follow. Now, so long as Robinhood stays above 33, maybe a play north of 30 cents. Again, not a trade recommendation. For day trades, obviously, buy the dip, sell the rip, right? Something runs down, it starts to bounce over whole number 34, you go long, maybe sell the 36 or right under it. So this guy's likely to be one of the better instruments, by the way, and we will be covering that in the live room for all of you who are live room members, right? As we always do the hottest charts. And again, to join, you can join at trademastery.com/live, or you can type in the old website, it was tradingtheopen.com, and that will forward you over to this page. So Trading the Open, you can join me, and all my traders got a really big turnout. Lots of new subscribers recently because the market's been really volatile, and sometimes people are looking for the best of the chart, so that's what we're here for. We've got such volatile markets, there's some really good plays. Now, I do cover stocks under $10 on occasion, the good ones like this one I covered for my members yesterday, TAL. We've got other ones like this XPEB. One of my traders mentioned this one, and we have a lot of smart traders, by the way. We have a lot of smart people that know, and they tell me this one had escaped my notice, but one of my traders had mentioned this one to us, and we covered it for Winning Alert for our members. One quick technical note. Good professional trading strategy that I designed over 20 years ago is to sell right under the whole number for intraday trade. So you buy right, and you may see my article in Stocks and Commodities on that. So let's say you start to see this going up and you see a bullish cup pattern at a 2-day high. We know better than to trade the first 20 or 30 cents because that's false breakout territory. But then up here, it's right under the 40, which is the whole number. We don't want to buy right under 40. So let's say we buy 40.20. We put on the trade at 40.20 and it keeps going up. Now what? Well, you should have an exit target at each whole number. The 41, you might want to lighten up a little bit on the pullback. Let the rest ride with the break-even stop, and the rest, sell right under the next whole number. So what I like to do, what I like to teach, and how I trade myself is I like to trade right above a whole number and then sell right under the nearest whole number. And that's a very good basic strategy that very easy to follow. Number one, it's very obvious. There's no ambiguity. And as a trader, isn't it frustrating if you have this uncertainty about where to trade it? What you want to do is replace uncertainty and a fog and cloud of confusion with very specific trading rules and very easy to follow trading patterns that make sense. So this is a classic Calhoun 2-day high breakout above the 2-day high, not just the day's high, but the previous day's high as well, to boot, and boom, it runs all the way up and then fades back down. So that was a good chart. XPEV. China play DD was good. I called it long for my members at 9:40 on Thursday, and that was a perfect call. I've been following it all morning long, and I was interested in if it broke over the 11 later, but pre-market it did a big drop, right? It was 12 to 10, something like that, 12 to 10, and it did an ascending triangle. So I said, hey, maybe up here, 1080, 11, 1120, maybe a good shot. That never happened. So it crashed and burned again. And then it started to pivot. And I said, aha, maybe this will be the best time to put on our first trade of the day at 9.4. And that was a really good alert. I think I'll give myself credit for that being my best alert call of the day. It only ran $1, well, 9.40 to 10.30. So it ran 90, almost 90 cents. So almost $1 for a $10 stock, not too bad. We have a lot of these beaten down China plays like TAL and DD and others. One that's also been lighting it up lately in the news is NIO. NIO. And this was another good winning alert for my members on our live room session yesterday. And one of my members had mentioned it when it was up here. I called the long up there and we took the shot and it ran all the way up to, again, that 45 whole number. It's not going to be exact. It's give or take 10 or 20 cents, but maybe 10 cents or so, but it ran up right to the whole number, and that's where you get out, right under at the 0.8 or the 0.9. Every single day in the room, we have so many winning alerts, and I like to tell my traders live in real time. First of all, ahead of time, they're told exactly where to get in for educational use only, for paper trading, right? And also, more importantly, kind of counterintuitive, right? I firmly believe that your exits are everything. Your exits are a lot more important than your entries. Because think about it, you could have bought anywhere in here. I could have called 43.20 or 30 or 40 or 60. Irrelevant. If you're trading the right chart, your specific entry is not nearly as important as your trade management. How disciplined are you to take a small stop if you put on the trade and it goes right back down against you? That happens all the time, right? But for the ones that work out, how do you lock in a profit after it runs up before it comes back down? And that's what I spend a lot of time focusing on teaching my members in the live room. It's very valuable. They love it. I get all these great comments every day. I really appreciate it. Here's one that one of my many smart traders, Mick had mentioned back here. And I was kind of being polite. I said, nah, I don't think it'll do too much. But if I were to trade it, I'd hit 222. And that was my long call on WORX. And that was a great call from trader Mick, because I ran 222 all the way up to 2.5 before the pullback, and then 270. Again, that's a breakout right there. Also of note, I bought one of my favorite things to trade is UVXY, because I love volatility. And if you want to trade successfully, I can't make any promises or anything, but if you want to potentially understand how you can trade more effectively, become a big fan of understanding the VIX and volatility and this instrument, the UVXY or VXX if you wish, because, or if you prefer, because it's volatility at work. And so you buy the dip, sell the rip. So I bought this Thursday right into the close because I had a good feeling about it. And sure enough, it gapped up the next day and I sold on the way down. So you buy the dip, sell the rip. You never, by the way, you never ever buy gaps up in the inverses, particularly UVXY. They'll usually fill the gap. So knowing that, I'd been overnight long in the money, had a really good day on Friday, made money. I sold the gap up, and then I rebought down here at 27.85, I think was the first. That was my first position I put on, and it ran up nicely as well. So it's holding its own. As long as the UVXY stays above a 2-day low floor, down here near 27.25, that's slightly bearish for the market. And obviously, if it takes out 29.6, 29.7, and eventually over 30, it's going to look really good. And if we take a look at your VIX, you can see the VIX obviously is going to match identically the UVXY chart. So if you like the VIX, like I love the VIX, it's really important. By the way, for more on the VIX, be sure to learn from Larry McMillan. He's absolutely brilliant in the VIX. He knows so much more than I do about the VIX. He's he's one of the world's top authorities in options, and he's a total expert on the VIX. And it's a pleasure doing webinars with Larry because he always covers the VIX. I always pick up some new tips from him. There's more than one forward futures contract to follow to. I didn't know that. Anyway, yeah, the VIX does that. You can't trade the VIX, but you can trade UVXY, which I do pretty much daily. It's a really good chart. I bought right there. I sold up here. I bought down here, and I'm holding over the weekend. So some really good charts. Okay, friends, let's change channels and get back to our swing trading charts. May wrap up a bit early here today. This thing has a lot of upside, right? Now, if you think the market is going to drop, and I think the market's going to drop, you want to learn how to trade instruments like this. I'm a total expert in trading this. I've traded it thousands of times, the inverses, including UVXY, before that TVIX, right? If there's any sign of weakness in the market, now's a good time to start putting it. You can see the big volume in this thing a couple weeks back. You buy the dip, it's holding steady. It's another thing. If you're a dip buyer, something comes down, if it's a 90-degree drop, it drops straight down, that's a weak drop, and we almost always do a 30 to 50% bounce. The other pattern for buying weakness, if you want to buy low and sell high, is wait for something that's gone down to go sideways, and preferably to start to trend up slowly a little bit, like UVXY is starting to right here. I'm gonna get really excited about this guy if he breaks, first of all, 30 to get the party started, but mainly the 40 SMA, I'm sorry, 40, which is the 100 SMA and the UVXY. Once it breaks over 40, I'm gonna be putting on lots of big baller trade with a window. The trade life cycle for a swing trader would be between 40 and 80. So I want to put on some size too, doing quite a few thousand shares over 40. So if it builds up, it's got good volatility. All right, so hit me with your best shot. Let me know any tickers you'd like me to pull up or any questions you might have. If not, we're gonna wrap up here sooner rather than later. Oh, big turn. Wow, a lot of people here. Thanks everyone for being here. I didn't expect such an epic turnout. Thanks for sharing your Saturday. Is this helpful? I'm trying to give you some good tips on not only what's worth trading, but what's been worth trading, but more importantly, what's likely to be a good setup next week and the week ahead. So, wow, a long list here. Thanks, everyone. I'm looking for tickers. Let's see, Brian. I sold my forward. Phil's asking me forward. I went mostly cash and equities because I think the market's going to do a big beat down. The two sectors that are exceptions to that are cannabis and Bitcoin. So cannabis, I like Tilray and Canopy Growth and Sundial. Bitcoin, I like Marathon, MARA, and Blockchain Riot, and Coinbase if it ever bounces. But let's take a look at some of these other charts. So I'm mostly cash, slightly short. Yeah, good run in AMD lately. I like it. It's got some pep in its step. It's got a schwang in its thing. It's going to break out I'd hit 112. I wouldn't hit the 108 because I'm a little skeptical. So what I see in that AMD chart, and it's a good break. That's actually a good chart. It's not a great chart. It's not as good as these others, but it's a hot chart because it's got a lot of recent volume. You got both volume. Look at how big the volume is, 120, 140 million plus price action. So you can get that confluence of both price action and volume and a spike to a new high. Don't buy the new high because you get stopped out because you get a false breakout and go right back down. What you want to do is wait for a pullback, like a bullish cut pattern, and then sock it to it right above the cut pattern. So I would anticipate that would occur, but somewhere between here and 110, maybe 112. So yeah, AMD's we'll follow that one. That's a good one. That'll play. Wow, long ass list here. Let's take a look at these. And forgive me if I don't have time to cover all the tickers. They're scrolling by here, so I'm trying to randomly pick some out. Ford. I thought you were asking about Ford Motor Company. Ford's not $3 a share. Yeah, that one would be a play over 283. Yeah, I like that one. I was thinking of the other Ford, which I was trading on the way up, but when I failed to break the 17, I said, hey, stick a fork in it. So for now, we'll leave Ford alone, but FORD is pretty good. Wow, so many of these. Okay, what do we got? XYL. So I'm going to do very quick from here because we have so many tickers. Brilliant chart. I love it. New highs over 128. Again, not a trading recommendation, but I would go long on this over 128.7. Very specific because I know what I'm talking about. 128.7 would be the trigger on that. Always, for example, a really dumb place to buy would be say 126.10. The old me would have done that because hey, it's a new high. You have to be a little more sophisticated. Think like as a Wall Street trader. Think like a floor trader. You don't buy the obvious breakout. That's dumb money. What you want to trade is the institutionally supported large breakout, which is a little trickier to get at. So, and I teach how to do that in the live room. Wow, so many. Okay, let's go through these. I only have 8 minutes left, so AMN. Yeah, another great chart. Love it. I think I'll another brilliant chart. You guys are full of great charts this week. That's good. I don't see any objection. I would hit all these. Those are all good. If I were to put together a momentum swing trading portfolio, that's it. That's the list. That's good. And we already talked about UVXY. Let's see, IT. I talk about it maybe sometimes too much in the live room, but I love that instrument because the upside's so big. Another great chart. What I don't like is the gaps, and it's a bit pricey, but it's meh. The direction is great. What I don't like, well, actually the gap continuations is good too. So yeah, actually this would be a play north of 270. That's IT. Someone's asking about TEL. I'm pulling up charts of your choice now. My favorite part of the week, because it's new to me. I see where you're going with that. It's okay, but it's I'd give it a B- because of all that noise and the congestion. How to say? As an active trader, our enemy is sideways do nothingness, right? And close second is congestion, consolidation, noise inside a channel because there's no direction that holds. They buy support, sell resistance, buy support, sell resistance. Finally, it broke on through to the other side, as Jim Morrison would have said on Wednesday, and it's north of 140. So yeah, it would be a play north of 150. The only thing I'd be cautious about is it's not as clean as other charts because of recent consolidation. But yeah, that one's okay too. CEXR. Yeah, that's much better. So let's put that one. That's a great chart. Yeah. And again, this kind of chart, I like to use the decade values as well. There's a method to the madness. Test out. Be a big fan of testing out what anyone tells you in trading webinars. And you see, I've got thousands of people as customers over the years. Test out what I say, and you'd be impressed. A newbie trader might want to say, well, I'll go right up the shooting star on Friday. So obviously we don't want to go long anywhere under 178 or so. But I use decade values. I like to trade within $10 trading ranges on these kind of charts. So I'd wait till say 181 before pulling the trigger on this one. But that's a good chart. EXR looks great. You folks are full of brilliance today. I appreciate that. Makes my job a lot easier. Then if somebody gives me some, yeah, it's a beautiful chart. So many great charts. They're beating the market too. A lot of these have much better price action, much better pin action than the S&P. So for that reason, I love it. JCI. Again, these are not trading recommendations or advice. This is just me talking about technical patterns. One of the best charts of that whole list, JCI. It's also up here. That's why it's near the top of my list, but great minds think alike. So hats off, JCI, good call. MAA, never heard of that. Mike Alpha Alpha, let's take a look. Wow, that's a great chart. Love that chart. And again, the same thinking process. I hope this is one takeaway that's very valuable, is avoiding the noise and being more conservative on your entries. I'm ultra conservative. I'm very aggressive, but very conservative. And I like to bring some intelligent problem-solving approach to the markets that hopefully can, rub off, and you guys can pick up some valuable tips that can help you make bigger winners more often a way of life. Behold the power of this chart. It looks great, but I wouldn't touch this one till I'd use 204. I'd wait for 204. I'd be a skeptic up here because we're right under 200. This is a great place to sell this guy if you're long. Not a good place to buy yet because it's this late, I should say. What we want is a pullback, hopefully not a 3-week pullback, but some kind of a pullback or at least a little consolidation ledge before we buy the breakout above the prior high. So in this type of chart, what you want to do, and it's very difficult to be patient. If you're like me, you're notoriously impatient, but this is the kind of the noise zone up here, the uncertainty zone. Not unlike the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Actually, completely unlike that. But the point is, expect noise up here right under the 200, so stay clear. I'm going to stay clear. But if it gets over 200, still stay clear. I'd make it do a little pullback and then a resumption on the trend. I'd use 204 as a trigger. I'd buy this if it gets over 204, showing strong demand. Only got a few minutes left here, folks. But yeah, you guys are some great charts. See, a question from a trader: how would I trade JCI? I'm not giving advice, but I would hit 72.7. Again, expect a false breakout in the first, kind of like it climbs its way over a whole number and then gets beat down. So you don't play right over the whole number. You wait for it to go up, pull back, and then the major breakout, that's when you want to trade. So you don't want to trade the fake out right near 72, but if it takes on new highs up there, that would be a play. I'd say 72.7 with a hard stop, a protective stop at 70 or just below it. So often it's good to use a relatively narrow initial stop and always build the trade by scaling in at least every few points on these charts. All right. I said a lot of tickers. I don't have too much time. Let's see, SUI. I'm not going to stay around late. I'm going to end on time. I've got places to go and things to do. Same story with SUI. Sui. That's what you say to pigs, right? Sui. Anyway, shooting star. So we don't trade it up there. Learn candlesticks exclusively from Steve Nissen, my longtime 20-year colleague at candlecharts.com. He's brilliant, and I use what he taught me to this day daily. He's a very intelligent guy. So anyway, the point is, that's a shooting star, so we don't want to go long unless it gets over 200. I would use 202 as a long trigger. And sweet. Let's see. Gotta have fun with this. Next, Shopify. That is the worst chart of the day. This is a horrible, stinky chart. I wouldn't touch that with a 200-foot pole. You're fired. Boom. Look at the chop. Look at the high price. Look at the lack of consistency. Look at trading failure. Unless you bought 1,100 and sold 1,500, but that's a horrible chart. I would never trade that. So that's the only bad chart of the day. So congratulations to Andrew. You get the prize of not the gold star, but I don't know, pick some other random color, but thanks for asking, appreciate it. And we got a couple others here, INMD. That's a good chart. That's a nice chart. I like that one. Good, strong direction. What I don't like is the pullbacks though. I ask myself, The history of the chart's great, but the price action, that would be difficult to navigate without getting stopped out. So that one I would reluctantly, if I were an investor or a long-term trader, I'd hit it, say 122. But for a short-term 1 or 2 or 3 week swing trade, nah. Because the pullback depth would be hard to navigate. See how choppy it is? You want charts that are like my Mont Blanc pen here, like it looks something like this. We don't want charts that are up and then pull back, then up and down, a little gap up, then a big gap up, then chop and all. Just say no. Let's see, Pinterest. Let's take a look at pins. That's the second worst chart of the day. It's like, really? I mean, I see where you're going with it. It may be a to use my decade approach, if you got to play the pivot, yeah, it hits a 61 with an exit target right under 70. So, nah, but it's more likely a short under 55. So, but overall, big picture, third worst chart of the day. Let's see, NSA. I'm almost out of time here, folks. But thanks so much for asking about all these great charts. That's a brilliant chart. I love that chart. I think I already covered that. Yep, that's way up here. Great minds think alike. I love that chart. All right, well, you folks take good care of yourself. Hey, Anile, let's take a look at Docs, Delta, Oscar, Charlie, Sierra. Looks like a recent IPO. I wouldn't touch that with a 20-foot pole either. Horrible chart. The only IPO I'm trading, at least what I'm trading, is Robinhood. I like Hood and only for intraday for now. If we take a look at the volatility in this guy, issuing, what was it, 38 was the target issuing price on Robinhood. Crashed and burned to 33, whole number, schwang, nice big bounce. Move down, buy the dip, sell the rip, schwang, up to the 37 whole number. We will be covering this one in the live room, so don't miss out on that. And friends, we're going to wrap up here now. We've got really good charts to work with. And this is the kind of chart, by the way, that I specialize in. I prefer ones like $15 or $20 a chart, but this kind of a pattern, we got a nice long sustained run, makes really good intraday trades as well. So do take care, trade smart, be on the right side of things. And if you want a good, intelligent, thoughtful, helpful, friendly, and you be the judge of how accurate my calls are, but I'm sure you'll be impressed if you see the accuracy of my entry and exit calls in the room each day. Join me. I want each and every one of you to join Trading the Open this weekend. In fact, join right as soon as we wrap up this webinar. Try and say that 5 times fast, 3 times fast. As soon as we finish today's broadcast, in just less than a minute, do be sure to whip out your credit card and go over to trademastery.com/live and join now. Money back guarantee on the trial, so risk-free. Give me a shot. Work with me in the next couple of weeks, especially if you think the market's going to drop. I'm a total stone cold expert in trading things like UVXY and TZA and SQQs and other inversey things that go up when the market drops, and as well as things that run up like the XPEV and NEO during the market going up. But when the market drops, you want to trade your inverses like UVXY and then others. So anyway, join me, and I look forward to working with you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I sincerely appreciate you taking a little time out of your busy Saturday, and I will see you guys next week. Same time, same channel. Trade smart, and let's go get them. Join now and make some money. Let's go. Let's do well next week. I want to have a big tail end of the year coming up, so we'll see where it goes. Let's see any other questions. Oh, thanks. Hey, thanks, Stephen. Thanks. Bill saying funny comments about bad charts. Brian saying the system's flagging Bitcoin for a probable move next week. Yeah, I agree. I think also too, pot stocks. Remember, of all the stuff and all the land out there, we got reopening plays like the casinos, whether it's DraftKings or MGM are my 2 favorites, or our how to say, the cannabis, Tilray and Canopy Growth. TLRY is my favorite. Canopy Growth is in the list too, and we've got lots of others that we cover. So for long plays, look for plays in possibly Bitcoin and cannabis stocks next week and in tech. But overall, I think the market's due for some stormy weather ahead. And so you want to trade things that go up when the market goes down, like these guys, FAZ, TZS30, the short Dow, the short S&P, our long volatility, our short NASDAQ, and our short semiconductors. We'll cover those as I cover both those ETFs and ETNs as well as the hot stocks of the day for you guys. So take care, trade smart, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.